Let me start by, yes, I agree with Honorable Cholet that, Mr. Speaker, we should be holding world championships. You remember we held the was it under 17 or under 20? Yes. Most of those athletes, under 20, and we were in Kasarani, and most of those athletes now are at the Olympics. Mr. Speaker, I believe that if we deliver the infrastructure we have talked about to the standard required, we should be able to hold it, to host it at the next available opportunity. And I want to thank the Honorable Cholet that should I be confirmed, she will also be willing to support, Mr. Speaker, and that is patriotism. That's an act of patriotism. And number two is that this law, I know we have a policy in Kenya, I think it was put at the time of Honorable Tuju, if I'm not wrong, that says 60% of the content should be local, but as a policy, as a directive. But I think we need to move it to law. So when we are revising because we have now a draft creative industry bill and policy, I think as we move to that direction, we should include that in the bill. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Cholet also has talked about communication and reaching out to the younger people. I want to confirm that, Mr. Speaker, I will make sure that I work with the young people, and I will, resources permitting, and it's my wish that I get somebody to work with me who is at the age of what is now called Gen Z or Gen Alpha. That group, Mr. Speaker, who are in their 20s to 30s, Mr. Speaker, I would like to have one of them work in my office, but also I'd like to make sure that the internship programs that we also have in the government, some of those who will intern within the ministry to intern in my office, so that they can also help me build my capacity among young people, so that I continue benefiting from the benefits working of these young people. By the way, I want to assure our young people that they should not fear anything about. I am very enthusiastic about sports and youth. And that, Mr. Speaker, is important to make that assurance. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Junet has asked a very pertinent question. I'm very happy to have this opportunity to say this. Mr. Speaker, I am not arrogant. In fact, Mr. Speaker, I am as gentle as a dove. For those who know me, who are my friends, they know that I cannot hurt a fly. Mr. Speaker, I have many friends in this parliament. They know me. And I have many friends who I've worked with. The problem with public service, and particularly if you have been a politician, you are always around here confronting challenges. And sometimes when you speak in a particular manner, it's concluded that that person is arrogant. Mr. Speaker, I am not. And as a Christian, I should not be containing arrogance. Number two, Mr. Speaker, on the question of opulence, Mr. Speaker, I must say this with utmost respect. I do not know even what opulence means, Mr. Speaker. And let me say this. I take it to mean that people who are opulent are the ones that bask in wealth and modern things. You will see them exposing where they are with their families, where they live, showing which car they drive, and all that. Mr. Speaker, I just became a victim, unfortunately, of a crossfire of a conversation. On things, Mr. Speaker, I do not go anywhere to announce to somebody that I wear this, I do that. It's just that some pictures take something you wear, and this, that, Mr. Speaker. Ultimately... And you spoke carelessly somewhere. Ultimately, Mr. Speaker, in some radio show. It wasn't careless, Mr. Speaker. Ultimately, yes. I was asked in a radio show a direct question. What is the most expensive shoe, tie, watch you have ever worn? Mr. Speaker, I had two choices. You didn't know it was a trick? No, it's not a trick. Even if it was a trick, I had two choices. Either to lie or to say the truth. Or not to answer. Mr. Speaker, no, let me just come to that. That was the third Mr. Speaker, I would have refused to answer, but I also had the opportunity to say the truth. And by saying that truth, Mr. Speaker, having been put that question to me, Mr. Speaker, it was not by my own choice to go and say, and Mr. Speaker, you know, for me who has grown up as a son of a squatter in Embobut Forest, you know that even when we were growing up, if you get one shoe or one watch like the one I got when I was in primary school, that is your Sunday best. That is your Sunday best. It's that one expensive thing you have that sometimes you are happy with. But to say I'm opulent, Mr. Speaker, I must say this with utmost respect. I have never gloated anywhere about anything I wear, anything I have, Mr. Speaker. Even where I live, Mr. Speaker, I've never gone to announce to people that I have this kind of a house. Or, Mr. Speaker, I've never even bragged about the car I drive, even if all those things could be more expensive than the things that have been mentioned. And I have said this, and I say this when the president nominated me. There is a verse in the Bible that says, if your eye is going to hurt a neighbor, or your hand is going to hurt a neighbor, you better gouge it out so that you don't make your neighbor to sin. And I say this when the president nominated me, that if in any way I behaved either by speech or conduct or my lifestyle, Mr. Speaker, in a manner that hurts any Kenyan, I apologize profusely. Mr. Speaker, that I said, and I mean it. I mean it as a Kipchumba, and I mean it as a Christian. That if I had, and Mr. Speaker, to demonstrate my commitment, Mr. Speaker, if any Kenyan tells me tomorrow that you can only wear butter shoes, and it will help me, Mr. Speaker, I'm being very honest, that if you wear only butter shoes, it will promote us to focus on your job and to hold you account on your job, Mr. Speaker, I'll do so. Because I do not want anything to distract the people of Kenya from the things I do. And I say this, Mr. Speaker, this is the conclusion, having managed, Mr. Speaker, a ministry that has so many agencies and a huge budget, I am extremely proud as Kipchumba Murkomen that for 2 years, I have not been mentioned on questions of incompetence. I've done my job with utmost hard work. The people I've left back in the ministry are very proud of the work we did. Number two, Mr. Speaker, that in those 2 years, I have not been accused by anybody on anything related to impropriety or corruption. Integrity is my middle name, Mr. Speaker, and I intend to keep that integrity, Mr. Speaker, notwithstanding the misconception that came around this. And I will remain in that narrow path, Mr. Speaker, for the benefit of our country.
Don't fear, don't live in fear. Honorable Murkomen, I'll ask you two short questions. Number one, I'll take you back to football, because football is the most captive sport in the world. You know that. In this country, there was a time when our second president, out of probably misadvice, outlawed social football clubs. World over, if you go to Germany, if you go to UK, all those clubs